ถือเป็นโอกาสอันดีครับเพราะว่าผมได้พูดคุยกับหัวเรือใหญ่ที่สุดของประเทศไทยซึ่งเขาให้สัมภาษณ์น้อยครั้งมากๆนะครับ
Today in Thailand, we're in every home, 99% household penetration, and every Thai uses a Unilever product 3 times a day. I would argue probably the most highly penetrated company in the country. People always ask me, what is the business case for sustainability? And our answer is very simple. What's the business case for the alternative? Think of the cost of ocean pollution. If it's not made our problem, then who's going to address it?
The Secret Sauce
สวัสดีครับผมเคนนครินทร์และนี่คือ The Secret Sauce
What's your secret?
Unilever ประเทศไทยกับการปรับตัวครั้งใหญ่วันนี้อยากชวนคุยบริษัทที่ทุกคนรู้จักกันเป็นอย่างดีอย่างแน่นอนนะครับเพราะว่าเขาทำธุรกิจในประเทศไทย88ปีแล้วครับเป็นเจ้าตลาดของโลกเรื่องของ Consumer Product หรือว่า FMCG โปรดักต์ของเขาใกล้ตัวเราสุดๆครับเชื่อว่าในบ้านของทุกท่านจะต้องมีโปรดักต์ของเขาอย่างน้อย1ชิ้นนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นโอโม่ซันไลท์คนอร์หรือว่าไอศครีมวอลเป็นโปรดักต์ที่ใกล้ตัวพวกเราจริงๆแต่ที่สำคัญที่สุดก็คือเขาอยู่ในวงการนี้มานานนะครับเขาปรับตัวอย่างไรกับเทรนด์ผู้บริโภคที่เปลี่ยนแปลงไปตลอดเวลาหัวข้อที่จะคุยกันวันนี้2เรื่องหลักๆครับเรื่องแรกเรื่องเทคโนโลยีนะครับนั่นก็คือเรื่องของ e-commerce ครับการขายของออนไลน์ในเมื่อหน้าร้านหรือตามโมเดิร์นเทรดต่างๆตอนนี้มันเริ่มมีความเปลี่ยนแปลงเกิดขึ้นหลายคนช้อปปิ้งออนไลน์อยู่ที่บ้านมากขึ้นโควิด -19 เร่งปฏิกิริยาครับทำให้เรื่องของการช็อปออนไลน์อยู่ที่บ้านนั้นกลายเป็น new normal มากยิ่งขึ้นแบรนด์ใหญ่อย่าง Unilever ปรับตัวอย่างไรและเขาไป X กับ Marketplace ชื่อดังอย่าง Shopee เขามีแคมเปญอะไรร่วมกันแบบไหนนะครับอันที่2ครับคือเรื่องของความยั่งยืนครับเพราะว่าโปรดักต์ของเขามันเกี่ยวข้องกับเรื่องพลาสติกเกี่ยวข้องกับเรื่องของความยั่งยืนตลอดเวลาอยู่แล้วนะครับในเมื่อ climate change ตอนนี้เป็นเรื่องที่เราหลีกเลี่ยงไม่ได้จริงๆเขาจะปรับอย่างไรกับเรื่องนี้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องของภาวะโลกร้อนเรื่องของความยั่งยืนหรือว่าเรื่องของ gender equality ถือได้ว่าเป็นการปรับตัวครั้งใหญ่นะครับแล้วเราเห็นแคมเปญนี้ต่อเนื่องมาเกือบ10ปีอยู่แล้วการตั้ง purpose องค์กรใหม่น่าสนใจอย่างยิ่งนะครับแล้วถือเป็นโอกาสอันดีครับเพราะว่าผมได้พูดคุยกับหัวเรือใหญ่ที่สุดของประเทศไทยซึ่งเขาให้สัมภาษณ์น้อยครั้งมากๆนะครับคือคุณโรเบิร์ตแคนดาลิโนนะครับท่านเป็นคนแคนาเดียนนะฮะที่มีวิธีการพูดคุยที่สนุกสนานแล้วก็มีแพชชั่นในสิ่งที่ทำโดยเฉพาะเรื่องของความยั่งยืนการสร้าง Impact ให้กับโลกผมประทับใจมากที่คุณโรเบิร์ตแคนดาลิโนบอกกับผมว่าเขาไม่ได้คิดว่าเขาทำโปรดักต์หรือว่าเขากำลังทำไอศครีมขายแต่ว่าเขากำลังจะเปลี่ยนแปลงโลกด้วยผลิตภัณฑ์ที่เขาทำอยู่นะครับและที่สำคัญที่สุดก็คือเราพูดคุยกันเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะครับถ้าท่านไหนสนใจอยากจะมาดูคำแปลดูซับไตเติลเนี่ยก็มาดูที่ YouTube ได้เราจะแปลให้แล้วก็สามารถทำให้ท่านเนี่ยเข้าใจในสิ่งที่เราพูดคุยกันได้มากยิ่งขึ้นนะครับลองไปฟังกันครับกับการปรับตัวครั้งใหญ่ของ Unilever ประเทศไทยครับ I want to start with the pandemic since the pandemic has begun what have been the impacts of COVID-19 in terms of your business overview, your business situation, or also a consumer product industry?
I think for our business, there have been difficulties and successes. And let me give you an example. More people are home. That means more people are cooking at home. That's been quite good for our food business, right? We have fantastically successful, beautiful foods products. Like our Knorr bouillon cubes, right? Or our best foods business. People are suddenly bakers all of a sudden, right? And so we have best foods baking products, which have done phenomenally well. On the flip side, much of our ice cream business depends on traffic in convenience stores, traffic in tourist areas, like, here in Phuket, where I'm participating in the sandbox. Of course, that's been negatively affected. So on balance, the business, it's been less narrow.The band, those that are working are really, really working, and those categories that are not working are really not working. And that's been difficult for us to manage from a supply perspective and indeed from, how we resource our business and how we support it in things like advertising, how our factories run, and indeed where we deploy our people, where do we deploy our people resources.
I interest in positive impact. So how did you handle?with this pandemic in terms of a business aspect? I saw that your financial numbers is still grow. So what did you do?
Well, I think, first and foremost, we had a very simple recipe. It's not rocket science, right? People and the safety of our people, job one, right? And so we deployed massive amounts of investment and resources to ensuring our people were safe. We gave all of our employees, our white collar employees, the opportunity to work remotely, and we shut down our offices at every small indication of a surge. We allowed people to take their monitors home and their comfortable chairs, and we made that all accessible to our people. If we still had to continue the business, then we wanted our people to feel safe and to do so wherever they felt safe with their families, either in Bangkok or wherever else they may choose to stay. And we provided them with all the PPE equipment, COVID tests, masks, and we provided them with hygiene kits regularly throughout, and we still continue to do that. Job one, safety of our people. Second is, of course, business continuity. And what does that mean? It means guaranteeing that we have the supply of raw materials and that our factories could operate. There were many of our employees that, unfortunately, to do their jobs, needed to be either at a facility like our factories or on the front lines selling to customers and ensuring that our products, our essential products, were available to people who wanted to buy them every day. The bouillon cubes from Knorr, or the shampoo from Sunsilk, or the detergents from Breeze, or the dish detergent from Sunlight. And so we ensured that the environments in which they operated were incredibly safe. We provided them with all the safety equipment to do it. And the beautiful thing about our business is, virtually all the products we sell in Thailand are manufactured in Thailand. We have 6 factories here in the country at 2 locations. And all of our detergents, all of our personal care products, all of our ice cream products, all of our food products are locally manufactured. We believe that helped us be reactive to the demand in the country and to better serve our customers and ultimately to better serve people who needed them for their essential needs to weather what is still the ongoing pandemic. The third aspect of it is we worked with our partners, and we have obviously, after 88 years of being in Thailand, we are the market leaders in 8 of the 11 categories in which we operate. A lot of retailers depended on Unilever to provide the products, and many of those retailers are small mom and pops. And so we doubled down on our investments. We made sure that they were financially solvent. We extended credit terms, and we worked with our distributor network, both in our ambient business and in our cold chain with our ice cream business, to ensure that our distributors were solvent and their people were safe. So we extended the Unilever protections to our extended network, the non-Unilever employees, but those who work indirectly for our family, and ensured that they were then able to meet the demands and the needs, customers who we are committed to serving, however small and however remote those customers may be. And I think the really interesting part about this, Ken, is certainly what we saw from a retail perspective is you saw a huge surge in obviously digital commerce, e-commerce transactions skyrocketed, right? Whether it was home delivery services of foods or products, but also products like ours, right? Through, online platforms, the pure plays or the omni-channels, Shopee is an example. But we also saw a real surge in proximity stores. Stores that are in your neighborhoods, right? And we went in conversation with these retail partners, we understood, right? Why is that? Well, because whether it was a national brand that has a small format store or just a one-off mom and pop shop, I feel safer knowing the person who runs that store. They're on my soy. I can go get my essentials and get back home super safely without any worries. And so we saw a real surge to them. And because of our distributive network and because of the scale of our business and because we have been serving these small retailers, we think, better than anybody else for generations now in this country, we feel that that has helped us respond to the crisis fantastically well over the last year.
You mean chohui, right? Chohui, it means shop house.
Yeah, like small mom and pops, medium size.
Not just a convenience store from the big company, right?
Correct.
Local store.
Yes.
Okay. Thai is called chohui.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Apart from short-term impact, I want to focus on long-term impacts on business. What are the key challenges that you foresee or the key opportunities that Unilever see
Yeah, I think there are numerous, both risks, worries, things that keep me up at night, and indeed opportunities. Let's start macro.
Okay.
At a macro level, I'm genuinely worried for the country. You know, I think if 20% of the GDP is related to tourism, I don't think tourism is coming back anytime soon. You know, and I think it's often said that leaders should be dealers in hope, right? And I am hopeful, but I'm also a realist. And I think we need to recognize that our economy needs a different complexion in order to stimulate local supply, local consumption, and we need to become much more dependent on local businesses to drive the local Thai economy. And again, I feel good about that. And in that, there's an opportunity for us because we've been serving the people of Thailand for 88 years. Our factories are local. 99% of our employees are local. And that's an opportunity for us because it allows us to then capitalize on the talent opportunity to invest in our brands, invest in the country, invest in manufacturing, create more jobs, and stimulate the local economy. I think that is an imperative responsibility for any company that has benefited and has become prosperous in the country. Now is the time we have to invest back, right? And so I think there is, you know, the opportunity to do that, and we are doing it. I also worry that, you know, many of the people who have lost their jobs may not have jobs to go back to, right? Because either through digitization or automation, companies have learned that maybe we don't need massive office spaces anymore. Maybe we don't need this many employees anymore. And the investments in digital infrastructure that may displace workers is something, again, that I think will have a compounding, potentially negative impact on the economy. When you get very focused on categories and channels, certainly I think there is an enormous opportunity for how do we look at better serving consumers through different retail channels. You know, and I think that's obvious if you look at every traditional brick and mortar retailer who has made significant investments themselves. Every one of them has made significant investments over the last several years that have been accelerated in the last year and a half to bring the store to consumers rather than to make the consumers go to the stores.
Right.
Omni-channel retail. Those then run alongside the pure play retailers, you know, the e-commerce platforms that have only seen their business accelerate tremendously because people are now ordering from the comfort of their homes a variety of products. And in that, there is a spectacular opportunity for companies like Unilever. And why do I say this? Because if you look at how e-commerce has grown everywhere in the world, everywhere where that S-curve finally takes off, for any developed e-commerce market in the world, it happens when those platforms, omni-channel or pure play, start adopting and selling a significant portion of highly penetrated items. The detergents, the shampoos, the diapers, right? The everyday products that keeps people coming back to the platform on a daily basis. Where are we today in Thailand? We have some very interesting e-commerce platforms, again, the pure plays and the omni-channels, you know, who have done well. But truthfully, there is still a massive opportunity for these businesses to scale. And why do I say that? Because the retailers that sell our stuff, our consumer product stuff, the consumables like us, haven't really scaled our categories very much online. And if you look at the pure plays, most of their scale has come through apparel or technology, televisions, cell phones, and clothing.
Right.
That doesn't keep Ken going back every day. You're not going to buy a pair of shoes every single day.
Sure.
Right? You're not buying a new cell phone or a new television every day. But if you need shampoo, and if you need detergent, and if you need dish soap, and if you need bouillon cubes, and even now through our Ice Cream Now business, if you want to buy ice cream, you're doing it on a much more regular basis. That's where you get the stickiness. That's where e-commerce really starts to scale. And I am so deliriously excited about the opportunity that presents for our business now.
So what about Unilever? How Unilever adapting for e-commerce? What do you stand for now?
I think it's important, maybe Ken, if you'll indulge me a little bit. Unilever is a 100-year-old company around the world. In Thailand, you know, we've nearly 100 years, right? 93 years globally. We've been in Thailand 88 years. Today in Thailand, we're in every home, 99% household penetration, and every Thai uses a Unilever product 3 times a day. I would argue, probably the most highly penetrated company in the country, serving more people probably than any other company in the country. The secret ingredient, the secret sauce
Thank you.
scaling a retail platform is penetration. Then of course, we have to be mindful of it, just like we've been mindful and invested historically in the past. So what are we doing specifically now? Well, I think we have done a fantastic job of working collaboratively with our retail partners, understanding what it is that they're trying to achieve. We're trying to figure out what the consumer needs are and why and when they move to an online platform. We're in the consumer business. We are at the service of our consumers ultimately. And we need to work with every platform that is able to better serve those consumers. And so our products need to change. If you're having things delivered to your home, often you're ordering larger sizes. Often you may be buying more premium items, or at least the platforms want you to have more premium items because the economics are such that they need it to be more premium for anybody, for them to make money. And so we've reoriented our portfolio accordingly to better serve both the platforms and the consumers who have a distinctly different consumption habit and buying behavior than they would if they were shopping a traditional brick and mortar where they have to buy the stuff, put it in their cars, or indeed carry it home. Now, if somebody's delivering to you, you tend to order bigger. You tend to order marquee name brands, which we have. You tend to be less experimental with new things. You tend to go to more trusted brands and formats, which again, when you're talking Breeze or Sunlight or Sunsilk, you're talking about big market leaders. And so we're working with our platform partners to make those more prominent for our consumers.
So can you give us some example? What kind of collaboration with you and platform? What kind of collaboration?
Yeah, so let me give you an example, Ken, of one of the evolutions of retail that we've been an early pioneer of. When Shopee was launched several years ago, we were among the first, if not the first partner to invest in Shopee Mall in building a business and a relationship with Shopee. And at the time, that business was tiny, tiny, tiny. In the grand scheme of things, it was an insignificant amount of money. And actually, it required way more investment than return. But why did we do it? We did it because it is inarguable that the future of retail will be omni-channel, if not pure play digital. Number one. Number two, the team at Shopee was very, very impressive, and they were building something that we felt had long-term sustainable business prospects. And by adopting partnership with Shopee early on things like Shopee Mall, we were able to invest to help scale their business, which long-term benefits both of us. And the beautiful thing about Unilever is we can afford to invest early for long-term gain. We've always run a long-term business. And if we believe that a platform has the potential to be a long-term success that helps us better serve consumers, then historically, we've always done well by investing in those platforms. And that's what we did with Shopee in, I believe, 2018. Over the years, that relationship has gotten better in every respect. Our business has grown. It's no longer insignificant. It's quite significant. It is no longer unprofitable for us. It actually is decently profitable, not as profitable as the rest of our business, but we're getting there too as we scale. We're able to invest in other new technologies with them and help build those together with Shopee, things like super brand days, where together with them, Shopee benefits, we benefit, and ultimately we better serve consumers. And that relationship that we've now invested in and nurtured for 3 or 4 years has allowed us to then take the next step on all these new relationships and new capabilities, which we're building together as partners. Things like I've talked about, data and digital partnerships to better serve consumers, to better serve advertising messaging to people when they need it, and to make transacting easier for people wherever it is that they choose to shop on the platform. So in many respects, that small investment at the beginning for us has more than paid back because it's helped facilitate a wonderful working relationship with Shopee. Our commercial relationship has grown, and we've grown in line, if not ahead of them in many of these categories. It means we're gaining market share, and we are market leaders in all the categories in which we compete with Shopee. but equally, it has allowed us one more way to help satisfy consumer needs, which is ultimately what I'm paid to do every day. How do we better serve people and societies? Shopee has built a beautiful platform that enables us to do it. We're very proud of our relationship with Shopee. And here, we think, the future is limitless and the potential is astronomical if we get this right.
Okay, can I drill down about the data?
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that it's very important. It's play a vital role for businesses, but it's very difficult. For example, for me as a media company, it's very difficult for collecting data and try to utilize this data turns to something like a sales growth or consumer insight, something like that.
Sure.
So can you share us some key elements or insights or your strategy on data transformation, something like that?
Yeah, I think job one was there has to be something in it for the person to give their data, right? And so for us, it's always been, well, how do we serve consumers? Therefore, we have to be genuine and honest and trustworthy enough. When we ask people, you have to get permission. And when we ask them, would you be willing to give us some information by way of a survey or something else? And in so doing, here's how we plan to use it. And ultimately, it's to better serve you. There needs to be an immediate reward in our experience, and there needs to be a long-term commitment to better serve them. Our experience is actually, I think, because of the brands that are asking for it, are notable, trustworthy household names. You're already inviting our products into your home every day. You feed your children with Knorr, you let your kids eat our ice creams. You have an ice cream from us. So they may be brands, but we have a relationship with people already. So I think that helps us and they trust us. And I think we've earned that trust. We then take this data, and we have obviously a massive team that we've built here.
So in your view, in Unilever perspective, what trends are coming right now in e-commerce or in online shopping that we need or you need to embrace it?
Yeah, I think, Ken, it comes back to your first question, which is the implications of COVID. I think what we've said, right? Where when does e-commerce scale? It's when it becomes a habit, either out of necessity or because you get so used to stuff coming all the time, it just becomes part of your life, right? Or out of, habit. And I think COVID has absolutely accelerated that, for sure. The behavior, people who weren't on e-commerce platforms a year and a half ago have now gone on there for one reason or another, And while adoption was good and healthy in Thailand, if I'm really honest, it was still way slower than I expected it to be historically, because there is something inherently Thai about going to a shop or supporting your local store or going to try on those pair of shoes or to buying that art or to go to your local fish market or whatever. Now that opportunity has been denied a lot of people, it's forcing the adoption of new solutions to serve people, for me to get my products, for Ken to get his shampoo and his detergent. And so again, out of COVID, one of the opportunities is the acceleration of data. You then take what is, I think, inarguable. There are very few sure things in life, but if you look around the world, it is inarguable. It is a 100% certainty that at some point in the future, very nearly, all of us will be shopping online. Maybe not for all of our items, but for a lot more items than what we currently do or need today, right? So you take the reality that e-commerce will inevitably be the future, served by omni-channel players or pure play players. And you say the acceleration of e-commerce is happening because of necessity or COVID or, whatever the cause is. Then, my outlook is that I think we're going to see the scaling of e-commerce over the next few years be astonishingly fast.
As you said that Unilever has been in this market for 100 years or 88 years in Thailand. And I think you have once made something like a mistake, a trial and error in e-commerce, for example. So can you share with us what are the biggest obstacles to success in e-commerce?
Oh, there are many struggles, and I've made we've made many mistakes, and I've made more than everybody else.
Okay.
But I think that's inherent in any new thing we do. Yeah, I think a learning culture and a growth culture has to acknowledge and has to make room for mistakes as you go. And I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, expecting that the model of certain retailers is similar to ours, and their motivations and their drivers are on a time scale that are similar to ours. That's not the case. And I think we have to learn, and Unilever has to learn, and companies like you have to learn to be ambidextrous a little bit. We are serving the end user. We're serving Ken. But if this is a different way that Ken now wants to shop, then we need to figure out how better to serve them through this new way that Ken likes to shop. It is not shipping 1,000 cases to a distribution center of a retailer who then breaks it down and sends it to their 500 stores. It doesn't work like that. You know? So our whole logistics infrastructure has to change. Our media strategy has to change. Our retail model has to, our financial models have to change in order to accommodate it. And I think we've been so wrong, so many ways, so many times over the last few years, trying to accelerate this new model to look like the old one. And I think and I've got war wounds to prove it, that actually it's a different model, you know? And how might we be able to operate a different model while still operating the very successful current one that we have?
Interesting. In the past few years, or maybe 5 to 10 years, I'm not sure, what was the key changes? What was the biggest changes in your company? It seems like you have to change, right? Because you have to adapt to the different model, different consumer behavior, or different financial model, something like that. I want to know, what have you changed?
Our company in Thailand, I think we've done a lot. The tendency of very successful organizations, legacy businesses, is to say, you know, how do we just become a little bit more successful than we've already been? Rather than have the humility to say, actually, we've been really good, but my God, we're so not ready for the future. And our people responded beautifully to that. And when you just explain, Ken, to our people that means, okay, we can continue to run the current ways of working, but you know how this movie is going to end, right? Or we need to adapt to the new reality that all of us know is coming, the sure thing I talked about. Yeah. And therefore, our commitment to them was to invest massively in training and development. We have an entire curriculum on e-commerce and digital training for everybody in the company, not just the sales teams, not just everybody in the company has access to free resources, free coaching, free development training programs, people in an organization, all in service of the end consumers and our customers. First. Second is, how do we change our portfolio? We've modified our portfolio over the last several years tremendously. New brands, updating older brands, legacy brands, Breeze, Sunsilk. We've launched new brands. We've gotten more premium in our innovation. So we launched a massively successful Vaseline range this year, Glutathione technology. It's a premium range, beautiful for e-commerce and beautiful for our brick and mortar retailers. So people, portfolio. And I would also say that, you know, our philosophy at Unilever is you can't have a healthy business on a sick planet. And I think over the last 5 or 10 years, you know, certainly over the last 10 with the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, where we set out very bold ambitions for how we wanted to give back to society and give back more than we take from society. We've been really successful in that. While that's happened, things like climate change, things like plastic waste, things like pollution, air pollution have only gotten worse. And I think we have also made the change there where we've said, despite however good our efforts have been, we're humble enough to know, my God, we still have a lot to do. And my God, we can't do it alone. So we've set up networks and collaborations, and hopefully, you know, today we are working with competitors who all share the same vision, because we know that it takes a village to solve these issues like plastic pollution and like climate change. And so that has been deeply embedded into the solutions that we need to find for whatever retail channel we want to serve, or whatever brand innovations we now want to bring to market, and indeed for how our operations need to work. How do we become carbon neutral by 2039, 11 years before the Paris Climate Accords, right? How do we become net positive on plastics by 2025? We will collect more than we sell by 2025, 100% reusable, recyclable, or compostable. If we were just a legacy business that wanted to keep operating, I could extract profit out of this business for the next 20 years, a lot more. That's not who we are. We want to invest more in jobs, in infrastructure, in green technologies, in new solutions that continues to grow our business, and do it in partnership with all of our partners in our ecosystem in a multi-stakeholder model. And that means e-commerce players.
Nice. As you said, you have very ambitious plan to fight climate change and social inequality. And I heard that Unilever developing purpose-driven company, something like that, purpose-driven brands, and people have their purpose. So can you explain more, describe more about this issue?
We believe business should be a force for good in society. We operate a multi-stakeholder model where we listen to NGOs, like we listen to our investors. We listen to, the stock market, like we listen to our employees. And we take a lot of inputs, and not all of it is positive. And I can tell you, every bit of it is hard. We believe wholeheartedly that it's better to do the hard right things than the easy wrong things. And when you have that mindset, and when you set those kind of ambitions and you publicize them, you make public your commitments, a company with, I hope, our high degree of integrity, you hold yourself accountable very publicly to lead for it. And we've done all of that. And then we say, okay, now, how do we figure it out? Like, what are the solutions? And I think for many of the things that we commit to doing, we don't even know how we're going to get there. And that's my point earlier about you're going to make mistakes, and none of this is linear. But you need to have your vision for kind of what you want to do or where you want to be in 10 or 20 years. Again, we are not here for a 5-year tour. We've been in this country for 88 years. My job is to set us up for the next couple of decades. And the one who follows me needs to do the same thing. And when you recognize that you can't run a business anymore where you aren't mindful of these massive societal issues that your employees are going to care about, they're not going to work for a company that doesn't share their values. You're not going to be able to recruit the best talent because they're going to say, I want to work for a company with a high degree of ethics and morals, and I want to work for leaders who I like and trust. And so it is not, I think the frustration that we feel sometimes is people treat these things on the planet or on societal issues as transactional issues we can just kind of put away and forget about. When you put it as central to how you lead your people and the type of people you want to lead and the type of innovation agenda you want to have and the type of impact you want to have in society, it raises the bar. In 2017, Ken, we said we would be, by 2025, 100% reusable, recyclable, or compostable in all of our plastics. That was in 2017. We didn't know how we would solve these problems. We just said by 2025, it has to happen. 2019, it's actually 2020, in the middle of COVID, we recognized that as ambitious as that was, the most ambitious of any of our peers, of any industry in committing to that, certainly any industry of our size, we said it's not good enough. So we added to it that we would cut in half our use of virgin plastic, and we would reclaim more plastic than what we would sell. That means investing in collection systems. And then how do you set up a circular way to deal with plastics? Why that's particularly important for us in Thailand? Because Thailand is the 6th largest plastics polluter in the world,
right,
into oceans. Our contribution to that, Ken, is 0.1%. It would be legitimate for us to say, actually, we're not really part of the problem. We're not really contributing meaningfully to the problem. Why is this our problem? It is our problem because if it's not made our problem, then who's going to address it? And our hope is that because of who we are, we hope to inspire other organizations to also make these commitments because we need to invest in infrastructure. We need to invest in recycling systems. We need to invest in new technologies. And by the way, We're doing partnerships now with numerous small and very, very large Thai companies that have created now circular technologies and capabilities to help solve this problem. Gender equality. Thailand is blessed, one of the highest rates, if not the highest rate of working women in the world. It's amazing. I believe 76% of women in the country have a job. It's one of the highest, if not the highest in the world. Brilliant, sensational. Unilever globally, at a manager level or above, 14,000 managers around the world. We are gender balanced 50-50. In fact, we pay women slightly more than men because I've got more senior women than I do senior men in Thailand. That's a real issue. I'm enormously proud of our contribution to that. And it will never go, one side or another. It's just the normal way we do business. And I believe when you're principled and valued and you're driven by purpose to be a force for good in society and to make people's lives better every day, you have the obligation, therefore, to do the hard rights versus the easy wrongs.
It's so inspiring when you talk about the climate change, gender equality. I agree with you that it's not easy. It's very difficult to address this issue because we are in the business world, right? And you have to listen all of your stakeholder, shareholder, NGO, and society. So let me ask, it may be a stupid question, but it's very straight. How can businesses make profit and also create values to planet and people? How can we make profit by addressing all of these issues that you talk about?
It is not easy, but you have to set that as a precondition. So I don't get a pass on hitting my profit targets because I'm investing in better plastics, right? I believe if you want to make positive change that is sustainable and sticky, then it needs to, as a business, then it needs to be commercially viable too. And so let me give you some examples. Virgin plastic today, new plastic, is more versatile, easy to adapt in colors, brands want different color pack, and it's significantly cheaper than recycled plastic. The easy wrong thing would be for us to just stick with virgin plastic. The hard right thing is, okay, how do we build a long-term solution that is economically viable? And today, recycled plastic, particularly in a country like Thailand, which doesn't really have a recycling system, to satisfy what we need in our scale, means it's more expensive. And we're not passing that on to consumers. So you're right, it's a challenge. But then you have to look as well about what you're comparing it to. What is the long-term implication of a society that only uses virgin plastic? Eventually, someone's going to have to pay the bill. The tax we're putting on Mother Nature and our kids is a far greater cost than the small cost we're incurring today that smart people, when mobilized, will solve. It's a very simple question, Ken. People always ask me, what is the business case for sustainability? And our answer is very simple. What's the business case for the alternative? Think of the cost of ocean pollution on fish, on the fishing industry in China. Think of the cost to health and well-being, right? When there are droughts all over the place, all over the world. Think of the cost to your business when people are unhealthy. And I think when you broaden your aperture as a business leader, certainly I'm very privileged in my job. If we serve every person every day, I don't just look at how I can sell Ken more detergent. It's what does that detergent do in their life? What does it help them do? Am I doing it responsibly so they feel ethically right being in a relationship with us on Breeze or on Sunlight, And what purpose can the brand help that person fulfill in their life? And constantly in all of those brand promises that we make to people, this issue of climate change has to be something we solve together. There is no alternative for us. And then, Ken, I think when you do that, you then say, okay, well, if we have to reduce carbon emissions by 2039, we want to be net zero carbon, 11 years ahead of the Paris Accord, one of the most ambitious emissions targets that any company of our size has ever committed to. How do we do that through the adoption of new technologies and new solutions for our business? So it puts more stress in our business
Mm.
to figure out how we run operations much more efficiently so that they're not emitting nearly as much carbon. In fact, no carbon. And that seems really daunting, but we've already done it. In the last 10 years, I believe the number is, somewhere around 700 million euros globally of savings, 2 billion baht of savings from reducing carbon in our factories. You can do both. It's harder to do. But as I said, nothing is linear in business. That's why you need to be guided by that long-term vision. Where do we want to be? What's the impact we want to make? And that allows you to absorb the bumps on your journey. And that's true in how we do our commitments to sustainability. It's true in how we build brands. It's true indeed how we run our operations. And it's definitely true in how we invest in new retail channels and partners and our future partners and relationships that we don't even know about yet.
Amazing. And the last question is about you. Since you joined Unilever, you have, I think, wonderful journey with this company. I can get the passion from your answer, from your accent, something like that. The last question is, what were the biggest lessons you learned from your experience, and what are you looking forward to?
Whether it's COVID or sustainability, we have to remember we're all in this together. Whether you're Thai or Canadian or, Chinese or American, I think the problems in the future that we are going to have to face as a species are so consequential and so challenging that if we think we can solve it on our own, or that we don't have to pay attention to them, it worries me. And so for me, 24 and a half years with the company, I started as an intern in Canada. One of the things I always wanted the opportunity to do, even as a kid, my parents were immigrants from Italy to Canada, and I was the first one to go to university in my family. And I always wanted to work in a place where I could be me and where I could experience and learn and grow, but where I felt valued and where I felt challenged and where I could learn a lot. And Unilever checked all those boxes for me. But the other thing it gave me is a sense of our role in the world and how, as a consumer products company, you could just say, oh, I make dish soap, right? Or I make ice cream. Or you could, as I've done, be in the favelas in Brazil or in alleys in Ho Chi Minh or in Manila, or indeed several times in Thailand before I came to work here, and meet with real people and understand that when they don't have much money and your detergent is a significant portion of what they spend, the significant portion of the money that they have to spend, you can't let them down. They can't afford for your detergent to not work. They can't afford for your food products to not be good and nutritious because they don't have any other resources. And it taught me that these are shared experiences we're all in together, and that the challenges that somebody in Latin America or North America or South Asia or Southeast Asia all face will look slightly different, but they're all the same. People want to feed their families. They want to invest in their children. They want to give them a better future and a better life everywhere in the world. And knowing that the world is facing some pretty significant challenges, I learned that I have a role to play and that my job affords me the privilege and the opportunity to make an impact on a nuclear level with those individuals, to make their day just a little bit better by giving them a little better quality than even they were expecting, more value than what they expected to get for their thought, but also to make a consequentially bigger impact because of who we are as a company and like-minded companies in effectively making the world and society a little bit better, And so I think that's what I'm happy about. That's what I feel, that's what motivates me every day. I think, if I think of the impact I want to leave, and, my kids are here with me, as we're working from home, they've been watching me for a year and a half. They sit in on a lot of these things that I do. And they're like, oh, Papa, I thought you were the ice cream guy. I get that all the time. I thought you sold ice cream. I said, yeah, well, we sell ice cream, but ice cream brings joy and it brings happiness to people. That's why we're giving away 1 million free ice creams in Thailand to people who get vaccinated. 1 million. Because the country needs a little joy and a little happiness. And I'm privileged enough to be in a job where that's expected of me. And, Unilever is full of those kinds of people. And so, yeah, that's been my journey. Those have been my learnings. And I can tell you, it's such a motivation to know that, to believe that I still, there's still so much more I want to do, that we want to do as a company. And it's, the people of Unilever are so inspiring to me every day that I don't want to let them down, and they don't want to let each other down, and we don't want to let society down. So we work really hard every day to try to do that.
You also motivate me and my team so much.
Yeah, well, you've made an impact, Ken, massively, doing these sorts of things. I think bringing objective journalism and honesty and these stories to life is your purpose. It's clearly your purpose,
Thank
so
you.
every one of us has a role to play.
Right.
It's what we teach our kids, right? Find what makes you excited, what you're good at, where you can be a positive impact on society, whatever it is. I wish I was better. I wish I was smarter. I wish I was more talented. I wish I was a better CEO. Every day I have my own insecurities, but you work really hard at just being a little better every day. And if we all did that individually, and if we all did it as a society, and we all did it as companies, then I think we can tackle these issues. They're not insurmountable. They just need courage and conviction and energy and enthusiasm and working together.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. It's an honor to talk to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Ken. I must say, the honor and privilege is ours. Thank you so much.
Thank you.